Hi guys, and welcome back to Primal Carnage. It's been a while since I've done a video on this game. Been waiting for the recode to come out, and it finally has. It's actually been a lot bigger change than originally thought it was going to be. If you've seen my previous videos, you know basically the developers decided to rebuild the game from the ground up. Initially it was just going to be some recoding, then they were like, okay, let's just rebuild it, redo it from scratch. Obviously a lot of the models are the same, and it basically is the same game. It just looks a lot cleaner and it's supposed to be a lot tighter, and there's a lot more meat to it as well in the form of few new things they've added since the original. So it's basically like Primal Carnage 2.0, but I think this is the game that Primal Carnage always should have been. But this is first of two-part videos. This part, both take place on a map called Snowbound, I think this one is, which is a get to the chopper map, and this is obviously get to the chopper game mode, as you can see from the bar at the top. That's still in the game now. And this is obviously the dinosaur perspective, this video, but I'll do another one showing off the human perspective. One of the new things they've added in, apart from sort of changing how a few of the classes work, is a loot system. So similar to Team Fortress 2, every time you finish a game, you have a chance of getting new skins at the end. So as you can see here, these are all the skins I've collected for the Raptor, for instance. And there's some for every single dinosaur. The dinosaurs have now been separated into classes and subclasses, and each of the subclasses have their own different traits. So the Dilophosaurs and the Cryolophosaurs play differently to one another. They have slightly different abilities. I think the Cryolophosaur actually creates pools of goo wherever they spit that do dot damage to anyone standing in them. But they don't have the blinding effect. So some of the dinosaurs, as I said, are slightly different from one another. I don't know the exact differences for all of them. For instance, the T-Rex now has a tail swipe, as before the Spino had the sort of slashing ability that the T-Rex was lacking. So they added a tail swipe for the T-Rex to make it fair, otherwise the Spino would have an advantage in Team Deathmatch and, well, any game types. You can see there, Pyro's got a Father Christmas skin on him. There's quite a few skins out for all of the classes. You can get them, as I said, every time you play a match. There's a chance at the end for you to get loot or a crate, and those crates you have to open with keys, which you can either buy or you can also get keys as loot drops. As you might see, I'm not that great in these videos because I'm still getting used to how the little classes work, and to be honest, because it's in early access, it's a little bit dicey here and there. Sometimes things don't work the way they should do. For instance, the Raptor pouncing is kind of buggy. Sometimes I'll be pressing and just nothing happens. The same with Dilophosaurus spit. Actually, I'll be pressing the spit button even though I've got full stamina and nothing happens. So it still needs a lot of tightening up, but I think in general the game's a lot meatier than it was originally. The loot systems actually add somewhat reward for actually playing the game, whereas before it's just kind of, you know, you play the game and you win a match and that's it. There's nothing really out of it that you get. But now you can get skins and stuff, and it kind of makes it feel worth it. Don't know what she was thinking. Some of the classes are definitely a bit underpowered. The Dilophosaur feels not nearly as strong as it was before Extinction. The Raptor Pounce has gone from a few different changes. When it came back, it was basically like a cursor, so you had to select the location that you wanted to pounce at, and there was a cursor that you could see, and you would hold it down and then you'd pounce at that location. So you actually had to really aim your pouncers and get them dead on, and the enemy would be highlighted when yeah, she's a bit special, when you could actually take them down. A lot of people, myself included, complained about this because it was just way too difficult to do. Factoring in latency and things like that, it's damn near impossible to get. Like, you'd have to be seriously lucky to get a good pounce, a good lock on. So oh yeah, and they've added gore into it, so now heads explode and shit like that. So yeah, you'd have to get a really good lock on to actually pin someone down. So what they did is they reverted that change, and now it's a mixture of the new one and the old one. So if you just tap the pounce button, you'll just pounce forward just like the old one, but if you hold it down you can actually aim your pounces, so it's kind of good in that you've got that choice there. Dilophosaur remains largely unchanged apart from now, as I said, it creates pools on the floor, but I think those only have an effect if you are the Cryolophosaur. And the Carnotaurus is pretty much the same, just as good as it always was. I think it has a little bit less health now and it doesn't have the armor it did. The Pteranodon's a lot easier to play. The pounce, the grab system's a lot more reliable, so they're a lot more dangerous now from a human perspective. The changes made to the Dilophosaur and the Cryolophosaur basically mean that you have to really snipe. You can't get really involved as you would before. But unfortunately, like, the damage that you put out is so low that even as a sniper, you're just not that effective. I think they really need to improve that and up the damage that the Cryo and Dilo do. Once they do that, hopefully it'll actually be useful, but at the moment they're just very underwhelming. I mean, you've got really good range. As you can see here, I'm creating some pools around there to just try and pick this person off. I think I'm just trying to figure out where I'm coming from. So yeah, you've got a really good range, as you can see, and you can see there I'm doing dot damage the longer they're standing in it. As I said, I'm not entirely sure whether that's the same on the Dilophosaur. I think it's just a trait that the Cryo has. The Dilophosaur just blinds people, whereas the Cryo doesn't. So yeah, there's a lot of balancing that needs to be done. A few of the classes are definitely underpowered. And like I said, the Cryo is probably one of the worst offenders in this case. The Raptor's a little better than it was. It's certainly playable now. But as it's an early access, still likely be a lot of changes like this, a lot of bug changes and stuff like hot fixing. So hopefully we can look forward to when this game is officially released, a far more balanced and enjoyable experience. I mean, it's enjoyable now. It's just, if you're used to playing some of the classes that you were back in the original Primal Carnage, then you may be disappointed. Like, the Dilo towards the end, I think in like patch 1.2, was really strong. It was in a good place, and then they had this idea about, oh, we're gonna split the Dilophosaur into an adult and a young Dilophosaur. So the adult will have different abilities to the young one, and so they started changing the Dilophosaur preemptively for when they were going to add this larger one in. But the problem is the larger one wasn't added in, so it just meant that the Dilo was just getting a nerf, and there was no big Dilo to counteract it, and it just seemed like a really shoddy system. So the Dilo was just shafted in patch 1.3, and there's no real reason behind it. So thankfully it's better than it was in patch 1.3, but not as good as it was in 1.2. So hopefully they buff it a little bit and it actually becomes a really solid sniper class, because at the moment it's just, it seems like it would be really enjoyable if it was effective, and unfortunately it's not. I don't think I have any T-Rex or Spino gameplay in this, but basically I think they're a bit squishier than they were before, but generally speaking they're about the same. You can now play Spino and T-Rex in Team Deathmatch, so Spino isn't locked to get to the chopper, and the T-Rex can play and get to the chopper as well now, so you can basically play those in whatever game type. Capture the Egg currently isn't in Primal Carnage Extinction, neither is the announced Horde mode that they said they're working on. So far it's just Team Deathmatch and get to the chopper, but the loot system is added in, and you can actually trade loot with other players. I'm not entirely sure how you do this, I'll be honest with you, but there have been people selling some of the very rare skins on that you can get in the game for like $200 or something like that. It's quite ridiculous. Some of them are ridiculously rare. You can actually get the feathered raptor skin through loot drops. I don't know whether you get the bun that you get for the beta, but you can get variations of it at least. You can see there the Pathfinder's got a new beret on, and the Scientist has the lab coat, which I think is actually a DLC. You can buy some skins. If you got skins from Primal Carnage, they should be carried over. They should still be in the inventory. And if you actually buy into the early access of Primal Carnage Extinction now, you also get the Volcano Spinosaurus skin, which is pretty awesome looking, I must admit. So all of the old skins from Primal Carnage, if you bought them then, they should be carried over into this game. but they're also still available on the marketplace to be bought for this title. So they're all still in there, don't worry about that. And you can get them as loot drops, I believe. But there's tons of skins. There's like a few dozen skins for humans and the dinosaurs. So there's definitely a lot of interesting stuff there. But yeah, the dinosaur classes need a bit of balancing. But for the most part, like the T-Rex is just the Carno and the Raptor are in a good place. And the Pteranodon's a lot better than it was. Just the Dilo's the worst defender, really. But yeah, it's so far really looking good. They just need to sort of tighten things up a bit. I'll do another video showing off the human classes and I'll tell you about the balance of those. So cheers.